Good afternoon. This is digital signal processing lecture number 21. So we are going through discrete Fourier transform, properties of discrete Fourier transform. So how many properties we have studied up till now? Is anyone can contribute? The first property is I have been displayed here. So you can get it from this. Which one is the first property that we have studied? Is periodicity property. Then second property that we have studied is linearity property, followed by circular symmetry of a sequence or circular representation of the sequence, which we have studied here. Then we have gone through a circular symmetry, circularly folded sequence. How do we represent circularly folded sequence on the circular representation? Okay. Then symmetry property of DFT. Here we have seen that we have taken the different cases. If the sequence is real, if the sequence is real and even, its corresponding DFT is also real and even. The second case we have considered that if the sequence is real and odd, if the sequence is real and odd, in that case, their corresponding DFT which we have obtained is imaginary and odd. J indicates that the DFT values going to be a imaginary because here J is present. So it indicates that the if input sequence is real and odd, in that case, the corresponding DFT that we are going to get is imaginary and odd. The values are odd and imaginary. This we have studied. Then followed by real valued sequence we have considered. If I am taking real valued sequence as an input, then the corresponding DFTs are complex conjugate of each other. The corresponding DFT values are complex conjugate to each other. And with the use of this property, we have solved the problem. The first 5 points are given and remaining 3 points are being calculated by using real valued DFT property, right? These are the things for which we have studied in the earlier lecture. Then in this lecture now, we will be going through a circular convolution. This is very important property, circular convolution or multiplication of two DFTs. Write down. The next property is called as a circular convolution or multiplication of two DFTs. Write down this. Then now here we have considered two sequences because we want to perform the multiplication. So two DFT values we have considered. So for that purpose, let us say there are two finite duration sequences like x1 of n. What we have considered, there are two finite duration sequences. The first sequence is x1 of n and second sequence is x2 of n. Both are having same length. Length will be equal to capital N. The number of points or number of values, those are present in the sequence, discrete values, those are present in the sequence are n number of values. So length of this sequence x1 of n and x2 of n, these are the two sequences. So length of these two sequences are equal and that is equal to n. So their corresponding DFTs we can find out. So x1 of n, when we apply DFT, we will be getting output as x1 of k. So how do we interpret this? If I am giving input as a x1 of n, then their corresponding DFT will be equal to x1 of k. Length of x1 of n, as I have stated here, what is the length of x1 of n? Length of x1 of n is equal to capital N. This is the length of the sequence. Capital N is the length of the sequence. Then second sequence we have considered as a x2 of n. Their corresponding DFT, n point DFTs, as the number of points present in the x2 of n are equal to n. So when we apply DFT values are equal to n only. So x2 of n will have a n number of DFT values. Now, what we want to perform, if I multiply these two DFTs, right? Multiplication of two DFTs. What I have written in the property, that multiplication of two DFTs. So that is nothing but x1 of k gets multiplied by x2 of k. So, and this is going to be equal as circular convolution. So you have studied the two types of convolutions. The first type of convolution is called as a linear convolution, and second is called as a circular convolution. What is the difference between the linear convolution? We have performed by using linear scale, and now in the circular convolution we will be using circular representation of the sequence. So that is the biggest difference between linear convolution and circular convolution. Okay, so these two sequences, now when we calculate DFT, and when we take the multiplication of two DFT, it is going to be similar as that of the circular convolution of two sequences in the time domain. So this x1 of n gets circularly convolved with x2 of n, and when this is equivalent to multiplication of two DFTs in the frequency domain, right? So the property which we have written, I have written in terms of mathematical, it's mathematical form. Here just statement we have written, and its corresponding mathematical form is written at this point. x1 of k multiplied by x2 of k, which is nothing but equal to circular convolution of two sequences, x1 of n and x2 of n in the time domain. Okay, so have you taken down this? Write down circular convolution or multiplication of two DFTs. We will now start proof of this. Whatever statements we are writing, it should be supported by a proof. So we will prove this, that when we multiply two DFTs, it will be corresponds to a circular convolution in the time domain, right? So now when this multiplication of x1 of k multiplied by x2 of k, it will generate third sequence. So third sequence is represented by x3 of k. x3 of k is representing third sequence, and that is equal to x1 of k multiplied by x2 of k. Okay, so we will write down the value of x1 of k. x1 of k is nothing but x1 of n. When we apply a DFT, we will be getting x1 of k. So here x1 of k, which is equal to, we are now writing here DFT formula, that is summation n varies from 0 to n minus 1, x1 of n multiplied by e raised to minus j 2 pi k n divided by capital N. So this is the DFT of first sequence. Similarly, we will write here DFT of a second sequence. What is second sequence? Second sequence is x2 of n. It's a DFT is written as, or its output DFT value will be equal to x2 of k. So x2 of k, which is equal to summation. Here we have taken n variable already. So the another variable is taken, that is L. L index we have considered here. L varies from 0 to n minus 1. x2 of, actually it should be L here. x2 of L into e raised to minus j 2 pi k L upon n. How this should be, I will write here. The second sequence I will write here. So what is my second sequence? Second sequence is x2 of k. The second sequence is x2 of k. This is my second sequence, which is equal to summation. Now we have taken variable L, because n variable we have considered for first sequence itself. Here we have considered n variable, so we have taken something different. So here it is L. L varies from 0 to n minus 1, because total number of samples present in the sequence are n samples. The input sequence is x2 of L. Input sequence is x2 of L multiplied by e raised to minus j 2 pi KL. Instead of n, we have considered L variable. 2 pi KL, 2 pi KL divided by capital N. So this is the second sequence, x2 of K. We have considered two sequences, x1 of K and x2 of K. When we perform multiplication of two DFT sequences, x1 of K and x2 of K, we will be getting third sequence called as the x3 of K. x3 of K is the third sequence which we have obtained by performing multiplication between x1 of K and x2 of K. By performing this, we will be getting third sequence called as a by performing this, we will be getting third sequence. The earlier slide, by performing multiplication of these two sequences, we will be getting third sequence called as x3 of K. And this x3 of K, this is in the frequency domain. If I want to convert this back into a time domain, then I will have to apply IDFT. So the third sequence is represented by x3 of n. Third sequence, which is represented by x3 of n. This is calculated by using x3 of K by applying IDFT. So what is IDFT formula? x3 of m is equal to 1 upon n summation K varies from 0 to n minus 1 x3 of K e raised to j 2 pi K m divided by capital M. So by using this, we can find out IDFT values of the sequence, and the output sequence x3 of K is the sequence in the frequency domain. When we apply IDFT, we will get x3 of m with the sequence which is in the time domain. So we will see how it is. Now, what is x3 of n? x3 of m is 1 upon n summation x3 of K. What is x3 of K? x3 of K is x1 of K multiplied by x2 of K. x3 of m, here you can see that. What is x3 of m? x3 of m is 1 upon n summation x1 of, now here x3 of K. So value of x3 of K is x1 of K. This is x3 of K. The value of x3 of K is multiplication of x1 of K and x2 of K. How do you write here? This is x3 of K. Now value of x3 of K. What is x3 of K? x3 of K is simply multiplication of x1 of K, multiplication of x1 of K and x2 of K. So by these two multiplications, we will be obtaining x3 of K. By performing this, we will be getting x3 of K, right? So x3 of m is calculated by using IDFT formula. Frequency domain sequence is converted into time domain. So by using this IDFT formula, we can convert the frequency domain sequence into a time domain sequence. Okay. Now we will be substituting the value of x1 of K. What is the value of x1 of K? This is DFT of x1 of n. So we have substituted x1 of K in this equation. 1 upon n is at the outside. One upon n is outside. Summation K varies from 0 to n minus 1. This is the term which we have kept as it is. Then in the bracket, we have considered the one more term called as a x1 of K. So value of x1 of K is substituted here. And the value of x1 of K is summation n varies from 0 to n minus 1 x1 of n into e raised to minus j 2 pi K n divided by capital N. So this is the value of the first value, it is of x1 of k. This is the value of x1 of k. The second value of this value is of x2 of k. So x2 of k is calculated, or it is, we have written in the earlier equation. What is x3 of m? X3 of m is the multiplication of x1 of n with x2 of n. So the second sequence is again this is the second sequence. So for second sequence x2 of n, when we apply a DFT, we can write it as summation L varies from 0 to n minus 1 x2 of L into e raised to minus j 2 pi k L divided by capital N. So this is going to give me a second DFT value. And after submission of x1 of k and x2 of k, the remaining part, what is the remaining part? E raised to j 2 pi k n divided by capital N. So this is now, this is as it is written here. So this is the equation. Now after performing multiplication, what we have done, we have taken this term x1 of n and x2 of L. These two terms along with their summation sign, we have taken outside of the bracket. x1 of n is also constant, x2 of L is also constant. So if I'm taking all those quantity outside, काय राहणार आहे आतमध्ये आता? This we have written summation n, this k varies from 0 to n minus 1. Now in the first part, this is the exponential part. So we have taken it e raised to minus j 2 pi k n divided by capital N. So 2 pi k upon capital N is taken outside. Here I will write here so that you will understand what we have considered. E raised to minus j 2 pi k n. The first term from the first bracket is taken, 2 pi k n divided by capital N. So this is the first term which we have taken from here. Now the second term is here. So that is nothing but e raised to minus j 2 pi k L divided by capital N. And third term is present over here, which is outside of this bracket. So that term also we will take e raised to minus j 2 pi k m km divided by capital N. Divided by capital N. So from this equation now, what we will do? This is actually plus. So from this equation, what we will do? We will take this exponential from the exponential part, from this exponent. What are the common things? काय ह्याच्यात आता common? 2 pi k upon capital N. 2 pi k upon capital N. इथं पण काय आपण काढू शकतो ह्या तीन टर्म्स मधून? तर 2 pi k upon capital N ही क्वांटिटी आपण बाहेर काढू शकतो. So what I am going to write, e raised to j 2 pi k 2 pi k upon capital N is taken common from this three terms. या तीन टर्म मधून आपण काय केलंय? e raised to j 2 pi k upon capital N हे बाजूला काढलं. तर इथं काय राहणार आहे आता ह्या टर्म मध्ये? This is going to be what will remain here? What is going to remain here? If I am taking e raised to j 2 pi k upon capital N. So if I am taking this constant, पहिल्या bracket मध्ये काय, what will be there in this bracket? n will be remaining. From this, L will be remaining, and at the end here, the M will remain. So if I take e raised to j 2 pi k upon n capital for remaining bracket, what will remain? This m, this m first, followed by minus n, because this is minus. So minus n followed by this minus l. So this is minus l. So we have clubbed these three terms together. These are the multiplications. So while taking this, the exponent value will be added together. So this e we have taken common, and from this, the exponential part from exponent, this j 2 pi k upon capital N is taken common. So remaining part we have written into the bracket, and that is nothing but m minus n minus l. Is that clear? काय केलं आपण पहिल्यांदा? We want to find out x3 of n. x3 of m साठी what is there? We have applied the IDFT. So here x3 of k is present. We know that value of x3 of k is multiplication of x1 of k and x2 of k. ह्या दोघांचं मल्टिप्लिकेशन म्हणजे x3 of m येणार आहे by applying IDFT. मग आपण पुढे काय केलं? x1 of k ची व्हॅल्यू सबस्टिट्यूट केली इथं, and x2 of k ची value पण substitute केली in the second equation. After substituting x1 of k and x2 of k, what we did, we have taken these values, summation x1 of n, summation x2 of n. We have taken these two values outside of the bracket, and this is going to remain in the bracket. कळतंय ना? Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So write down properly. So here x3 of m, x3 of m. पुढं next step ला काय केलंय आपण? This x2 of l and x1 of n. These two values we have taken outside. मग काय येणार आहे? ही summation x1 of n बाहेर घेतला ब्रॅकेटच्या. Summation x2 of l. This is also we have taken outside of this bracket. मग आतमध्ये काय राहिले? Only exponent part will remain in the bracket. So this exponent part is nothing but e raised to कोणते राहिले? e raised to minus j 2 pi k n divided by capital N. पहिल्या bracket मध्ये. In the second bracket, what is the term remained? This is e raised to minus j 2 pi k l divided by capital N. This term is now present in it is from second bracket, and third term which is outside of this is e raised to j 2 pi k m divided by capital N. So this way, now these are the terms which are now remained, and now this exponential part base is same. So there if they are multiplied, if their base is same, then we can add all the exponent part. So here by adding this exponent part, I found that इथं आपण आता बेस सेम असल्यामुळे काय करणार आहे? त्याच्या एक्सपोनंट व्हॅल्यूची ऍडिशन करणार आहे. ऍडिशन करताना आपल्याला काय इथं समजलंय की this j 2 pi k upon capital N is constant. So if it is constant, मग ते सगळं ब्रॅकेटच्या बाहेर काढलं, आणि in the bracket what is going to remain? m minus n minus l. इथपर्यंत कळलंय ना? So this is directly written here. This is directly mentioned here. Third term. Now, okay. So, now the in the this power series you might have studied this. This is a finite power series. Summation k varies from 0 to n minus 1 a raised to k. This is a finite power series. So it's a solution of this a raised to k summation. This can be written as it is equal to n when value of a is 1. म्हणजे काय होणार आहे ही पॉवर सिरीज याच्यात किती टर्म आहेत 0 to n minus 1 मीन्स टोटल टर्म्स किती येणार आहे n टर्म्स येणार आहे मग आपण काय लिहितोय दिस इज a is equal to 1 if I am considering मग काय येणार इथं आता समेशन मग किती टर्म्स आहेत 0 आहेत पहिली टर्म मी टाकली k ची व्हॅल्यू किती येते 0 येते सो 1 raised to 0 प्लस सेकंड व्हॅल्यू k ची किती येते 1 then third value काय येणार आहे 1 raised to 2 then next value 1 raised to 3 plus 1 raised to 4 up to this is going to be this is going to be there up to n number of terms so addition of this will be equal to this addition of this will be equal to n. So here we have taken the first value. If a is equal to 1, जर a is equal to 1 असेल तर या power series चं solution काय येणार आहे? If a is equal to 1, then the value of this power series will be equal to n. If it is not equal to 1, त्या केस मध्ये कसं होतंय? तर त्याचं सोल्युशन आहे अवेलेबल आपल्याकडे. So the solution of this power series will be equal to 1 minus a raised to n divided by 1 minus a. So here with this reference now why I'm considering this standardized formula because I want to put this solution for this bracket term. I want to find out solution for this bracket term. आपण आता हे पॉवर सिरीजचा का इथं विचार केलाय because I want to find out finite value for this exponential part. Okay, so we'll see in the next the when m n and minus l when it is equal to n 2n 3n or multiple of n मग आता त्या केस मध्ये काय होणार आहे ह्याची व्हॅल्यू जर माझी या ब्रॅकेट टर्मची व्हॅल्यू या ब्रॅकेट टर्म मध्ये कोणते कोणते पार्ट आहेत तर दिस इज 2 pi k upon n into m minus n minus l याची व्हॅल्यू जर मी n ठेवली याची व्हॅल्यू जर मी n ठेवली तर काय होणार आहे हा n आणि हा n these two n's will be cancel to each other and here you will be because this bracket term value of this bracket term we have considered n. So what will happen this n and this n will be cancelled to each other and the value will remain is e raised to j 2 pi k ही एवढी व्हॅल्यू राहणार आहे मग ह्या व्हॅल्यूची आता आन्सर व्हॉट इज द आन्सर ऑफ e raised to j 2 pi k this is in multiple of 2 pi this is going to be in multiple of 2 pi so as it is going to be multiplied in multiple of 2 pi what is the value of this how you will write this equation e raised to j 2 pi k this we can write in terms of cos 2 pi k plus j sin 2 pi k and 2 pi च्या ह्याच्यात it is in terms of 2 pi it has been written in the multiples of 2 pi therefore this value is always equal to 1 this value is always equal to 1 okay so write down this ओके. सो द व्हॅल्यू ऑफ m, n and l ची व्हॅल्यू जर आपण मल्टिपल ऑफ n घेतली, तर इफ आय एम टेकिंग दिस व्हॅल्यू इन द मल्टिपल ऑफ n, e raised to j 2π, मग हे कसं आपण रिप्रेझेंट होणार आहे, याची व्हॅल्यू जर आपण मल्टिपल ऑफ n घेतली तर e raised to दिस एक्सपोनंट कसा रिप्रेझेंट होणार आहे, e raised to j 2π k m मायनस n मायनस l आहे ना इथं, आणि त्याची व्हॅल्यू आपण काय घेतलेली, n घेतलेली आहे. सो हा कसा होणार आहे, 2π इंटू 2π इंटू k, दिस फर्स्ट व्हॅल्यू इज n, सो त्याची व्हॅल्यू सबस्टिट्यूट केली तर n डिवायडेड बाय कॅपिटल N. सो दिस n and this n is going to cancel. सो काय राहणार इथं, e raised to j 2π k एवढंच राहील ना, कारण दिस टू व्हॅल्यूज आर गोइंग टू कॅन्सल इच अदर. सो ओनली व्हॅल्यू विल रिमेन हियर 2π. what will remain here, 2π k, e raised to j 2π k. मग e raised to j 2π k ची व्हॅल्यू किती आहे, 1 आहे. तसंच जर मल्टिपल ऑफ n आपण जर घेतलं, इंटिजर मल्टिपल ऑफ n इथं घेतलं, तर ह्याची व्हॅल्यू ऑलवेज इक्वल टू 1 येणार आहे. दिस व्हॅल्यू इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी इक्वल टू 1 बिकॉज दिस इज मल्टिपल ऑफ n, because we have considered this as a multiple of n, right? So ह्याची value ही this is you will be getting, this is always equal to 1, right? This is always equal to 1, right? So we'll consider for next is now the summation. हा जर आपला always equal to 1 येणार आहे, this value if I am considering this will be multiple of n, this is always equal to 1. So this is going to be summation k varies from 0 to n minus 1. सो याच्यात किती आपल्या टर्म्स आहेत, n टर्म्स आहेत. सो याची व्हॅल्यू समेशन k varies from 0 to n minus 1 1. हे किती, what will be the value of this, this is equal to n, this is equal to n. So here this value is always equal to n. Now what we will do, we will substitute here, we will write here summation k varies from 0 to n minus 1. This is the exponential part. What is exponential part? E raised to j 2π upon n into k in the bracket m minus n minus l, and this is equal to n when m minus n minus l is multiple of n. This is very important. This is equal to n. When you are getting this is equal to 1, when m minus n minus l is multiple of n. When this will happen, at that time only you are getting the ultimate conversion of this exponential to value of n. कधी तुम्हाला त्याची फायनाइट व्हॅल्यू ऑफ n मिळणार आहे, जेव्हा m minus n minus l ची व्हॅल्यू तुम्ही जर मल्टिपल ऑफ n ठेवली, तर ह्याची अल्टिमेट व्हॅल्यू किंवा आपण काय म्हणतो, ही सेरीज कॉन्व्हर्ज होतीये. मग ही सेरीज कॉन्व्हर्ज झाली म्हणजे त्याची काहीतरी डेफिनाइट व्हॅल्यू अटेंड झाली. सो ह्या सेरीजचं सोल्युशन काय होणार आहे, इट इज इक्वल टू n when m minus n minus l is multiple of n, right? So further we will write, we'll substitute here. There are 3 terms which we have considered. The first term is x1 of n, second term is x2 of n, and third term is this exponential term. The value of this exponential term right now we have calculated. याची व्हॅल्यू किती आली आहे, तर this is going to be a capital N. This is going to be a capital N. So here one more thing is remaining, that is 1 by n is not written here. We should write here because This 1 by n has been forgotten here. So काय येणार आहे x3 of m is equal to 1 upon n summation x1 of n summation x2 of n आणि ही जी थर्ड व्हॅल्यू आलेली आहे this third value which is equal to n this is equal to n this is what we have obtained. Now what will happen, this n here this n and this n going to cancel each other. शेवटी काय राहिले summation x1 of n summation x2 of n summation x1 of n and summation x2 of n, where m minus n minus l is multiple of n, where m minus n minus l is the multiple of n. So m minus n minus l is equal to p into n. P is an integer. It may be positive, it may be negative. So when m minus n minus l is equal to pn, it is equal to pn. याची व्हॅल्यू किती आता pn आहे व्हॅल्यू. मग हे p पॉझिटिव्ह पण असू शकतो किंवा निगेटिव्ह पण असू शकतो. We have considered minus pn. So what we did, we have taken l and pn here. L and pn here. So now this is what we want to do. We want to represent this in terms of n only, because there are two variables and the sequence in the time domain only. So we want to put it into a single variable. So what we have done, we know that value of m minus n minus l is multiple of n. So this multiple of n is represented by pn. P is an integer. It may be positive or it may be negative. For some time, what we have considered here, this m minus n minus l is equal to minus p into n. So what we did, we have interchanged these two variables. So l we have, because we want to remove this l, we want to put the equation back into only one variable. We want to remove this l. So what we did, we have calculated the value of l. We have calculated the value of l. l ची व्हॅल्यू किती येते मग, हा जर l इकडे घेतला आणि हा pn इकडे घेतला तर this is going to be m minus n plus pn. हा इकडे चेंज केला and this l we have taken to this side. So what we will get, l is equal to m minus n plus pn. म्हणजे l ची व्हॅल्यू आपण इथं राईट डाऊन केली. काय l ची व्हॅल्यू, तर m minus n plus pn. मग या इक्वेशन मध्ये मी जर m ची व्हॅल्यू टाकली, दिस l ची व्हॅल्यू मी जर इथे सबस्टिट्यूट केली, काय आपली l ची व्हॅल्यू, व्हॉट इज l व्हॅल्यू ऑफ l, दिस इज इक्वल टू m minus n plus pn. दिस इज द व्हॅल्यू ऑफ l. आता l व्हेरिएबल इथं कुठंच नाहीये, म्हणजे दिस समेशन विल नॉट बी हॅव्हिंग एनी मीनिंग. मग हे समेशन पण रिड्यूस होणार आहे, कारण l व्हेरिएबल आपण रिप्लेस केलाय. कशाने रिप्लेस केलाय, m minus n plus pn ने. जर आपण ह्याला रिप्लेस केलाय तर वी कॅन राईट हियर व्हॅल्यू ऑफ l. सो दिस समेशन विल नॉट एक्झिस्ट फर्दर एनीमोर, बिकॉज l व्हेरिएबल राहिलेलाच नाहीये, त्यामुळे समेशन इथं एक्झिस्टच करणार नाही. सो ओनली this term will remain, x2 of m minus n plus pn. This is the only term which will remain after that. So this x2 of m minus n plus pn, this is nothing but by using circular shift or circular property of this, we can write this in terms of modulo. We can write this in terms of modulo, because x2 of n is shifted by n units, by n samples, and this is represented on the circle where x2 of n consists of n number of samples. So this m minus n plus pn, we can represent it on the circle in terms of x2 of m minus n modulo n. This is representing that the sequence is represented on the circle. So here we have considered, or we have taken modulo n operator. We have taken in modulo n operator. So if I'm taking modulo n operator, the x2 of m minus n sequence will be represented as x2 of m minus n modulo n, right? x2 of m minus n modulo n. This is modulo n property. This is modulo n. This is called as a modulo n. Okay. So here circular property. Now what we will do? We will substitute value. What is the value of this x2 of m? What is the value of x2 of m? This is a modulo n. So this value I can substitute here. This is going to be x2 of m minus n. This is going to be x2 of m minus n modulo n. Modulo n. So in this way, the second sequence can be represented on the circle. So we can write as x3 of m, which is equal to summation n varies from 0 to n minus 1, x1 of n, second sequence is x2 of m minus n modulo n. So in this way, the circular, this is nothing but the equation which we have obtained is nothing but a circular convolution. In the convolution, what we have observed that there are two sequences. The second sequence where we are operating on the sequence. What are the steps that we perform on the second sequence? We perform folding, shifting. This is the minus n represents the folding operation. Then m minus n representing the shifting operation. And then here it is the multiplication, and finally this will represent the summation. So this is the, as we have represented the second sequence with modulo n, so this convolution is called as a circular convolution, as we have used here circular scale. So this convolution is called as a circular convolution. This is called as a circular convolution. This is very important property of DFT, that when we perform multiplication of this multiplication of two DFT sequences, ultimately in the time domain we will be performing a circular convolution operation. Like linear convolution, multiplication of two sequences is equivalent to convolution in the time domain. Similarly, for DFT also we can say that multiplication of two DFT values in the frequency domain is equivalent to circular convolution in the time domain. So here this x3 of m, this is the third sequence which is calculated by performing circular convolution between two sequences, x1 of n and x2 of n. So this property is called as a circular convolution or multiplication of two DFTs. This property, this is very, very important property. So write down, have you taken down this? Take down this. So circular convolution of x1 of n, x2 of n is represented by x1 of n circularly convolved with x2 of n, and is given by x3 of m, which is equal to circular convolution between two sequences, x1 of n and x2 of n. And this is nothing but equal to summation n varies from 0 to n minus 1, x1 of n multiplied by x2 of m minus n. So this is the circular convolution in the time domain. This is the circular convolution in the time domain, right? So this is the property. Tomorrow what we'll do, we'll solve problem based on circular convolution. Okay. We'll stop here for today's lecture.